हिजोको चाहिँ मलाई धेरै रमाइलो लागेको थियो।
Yesterday it was very interesting for me.
सबैभन्दा इन्ट्रेस्टिङ चाहिँ मलाई के लागेको थियो भने जब हामी त्यो भोकेसनल ट्रेनिङतिर गयौँ र त्यहाँनिर डिस्कसनको क्रममा एउटा के कुरा आएको थियो भने हाम्रो देशहरूमा चाहिँ अरूलाई रोजगारी माग्नु भन्दा पनि 70% चाहिँ आफै स्वरोजगार भएका छन्। अर्काकोमा गएर रोजगार मागेर थोरै तलबमा काम गर्नुभन्दा आफै स्वरोजगार भएर काम गरेका छन् हाम्रो देशमा चाहिँ भन्ने जुन कुरा हामीलाई सेयर गर्नुभएको थियो त्यो चाहिँ एकदम इन्स्पायरिङ लागेको थियो।
Yesterday I was in the vocational education group and I learned that in their presentation they mentioned that 70% of those who received TVET they are employed in self-employment. That's an important thing I learned.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we know that there was lots of learning, I'm sure, in all the different sessions. So on with the next question with Aidan.
Okay, so the next question. Which session did you find particularly inspiring? Was it the first one on inclusive education models? Was it the group of 3 marketplaces? Or was it the practical applications of ECCD? The monitoring and evaluation session that was in this room? Or perhaps the inclusive vocational education training where we heard lots of different experiences? And then in the evening time we heard about community-based rehabilitation experiences from 3 different countries. So which of those sessions did you find most inspiring? Cast your vote. You can try. Okay, so we're coming up to 60. Couple more in. Cast your votes. I think the sleepy person is falling asleep on it. Okay, come on, a couple more. 67, 68. There we go, 70. Very good. I think there's a clear one there, the marketplaces. Look at that. So 26 out of 70 felt inspired by the marketplaces. Can somebody tell me why and which one? Any volunteers? The marketplace.
Yeah, I was in the GEC presentation yesterday on the marketplace outside, and I like the points when in Sierra Leone during the Ebola time they stopped the school activity and the government replaced it with the radio broadcast learning. So it's really good and inspiring method, especially for children who cannot attend the school, so they can still following the education through technology-based alternative. So it's very inspiring.
Great, thank you very much, Wayu. Yes, another Zina.
Okay, I was in the marketplace, and particularly I was inspired by the work from Plan Uganda, the way they work with the government to make safer Kampala city for girls, and how they work with the motorcycle drivers to make sure that girls are protected in Kampala. Thanks.
Very good. So looking at plans work not just in the rural areas, but an increasing body of work in urban areas. Or urban programming is so important in a world that's changing so rapidly. Okay, so we take one more example. Who was one of those 26 that said they were inspired? Or shall we have somebody else from one of the other models, the inclusive education model, for example? Anyone would like to share why they were inspired by that session? Volunteers? Okay, we move on to the next question.
Okay, so I think it's our last question, yes? And it's, how ready are you for the cultural night? So response A is there a cultural night? Response B, I have my dance shoes ready. We definitely expect that from the Latina group, but I'm sure others as well. Answer C, great, more Nepalese food. Or answer D, I need to finish my report. Okay, so shoot away with your responses. This one's moving faster, actually, I think. We're getting quicker responses here.
Day 3.
Day three, and party time. Just a few more. We're at 66. Okay, so fortunately, actually, we have about the same number of people that were sleepy that are also saying, is there a cultural night? So anyway, there is a cultural night tonight, and I'm sure we'll hear more about it and when it's starting and where it's going to be. So yes, there is a cultural night tonight. And the good news is that the majority of people, 26 people, are saying they have their dance shoes ready and ready to go. A lot of people are still happy about the opportunity to have more delicious Nepalese food. So 12 people responded to that one. And rather sadly, 19 people have said, I need to finish my report. So I'm really hoping that today we can change your minds, and so that you'll join us this evening for the cultural evening, because I'm sure it's going to be fantastic and much more worthwhile than finishing your report. So,
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you, Melanie, for helping us. Great. We're going to hand over to Jessica now from the communications team, who's going to give us an idea of what's happened on social media.
Good morning, everyone. I've had the chance to meet most of you for the first time. My name is Jessica Lomlin, and I manage communications for Plan International in Asia. So based in Bangkok, spent about 7 months last year managing communications for the Nepal earthquake response. So it's great to be here, and it's fantastic to learn so much technical knowledge and insight from all of you, experts around the world. So just a quick recap. I know in this room we've been sharing so many ideas, so much knowledge and insight, but just to share actually what's been happening online with regards to the conference. So many of you from external agencies know that we approached your communications teams in the last few weeks, focusing a lot on stakeholder engagement, encouraging online promotion of content and information. And just to give a quick recap of what we have seen online, we've been using the hashtag #IncludeUs2016, and it's been getting quite a lot of traction, which is fantastic. So as you'll see here, we've been getting promotion from our external agency partners like CBM, from Inclusion International. And as a result of our work in the last few days, we've generated quite a bit of coverage in Nepali media. So when you go to the restaurant, pick up a hard copy of the Himalayan Times. We're actually featured. We have an article on the Himalayan Times, as well as Kantipur and the Republica. So those are all major national Nepali media, and we've been getting tons of coverage there. So you can see that's a screenshot from the Republica. And then I'll just scroll down. So we've got tons and tons of coverage. This is all on Twitter. Did help that Catalina was retweeting our content. And with Catalina's retweets, we actually got quite a bit of coverage from even the UN ambassador to Costa Rica and several UN agencies. So I'll just scroll down a little bit more. But basically to say, this is just a quick recap of what's been happening online. And just to kind of build more momentum, I'll share some pretty incredible stats. So since November 30th to today, with the hashtag #IncludeUs2016, we've had 665 posts from 279 unique users. In total, that has reached 655,000 people. And just to say, that means unique users. So if someone tweets 10 times, that person is counted once. So essentially what's happening is that if you're sharing a tweet and say you have 1,000 followers, it's counting that 1,000 people have seen your tweet because it's appearing on your timeline. So more than 500,000 people have seen content with the hashtag IncludeUs2016. Now, if we were to take that a step further and look at when you count multiple users and look at impressions, so that's how sort of print media counts impressions, that means our hashtag has generated 2.3 million impressions in 7 days, which is remarkable. So I would encourage you on our last day today to continue the momentum. I know we have sort of our social media gurus in the room, and we've had a lot of really great content. But just to say, we've had tons of content shared from CBM, Light for the World, UNDP, Site Savers. We've seen promotion as far as the US, Canada, Australia, East Africa, Bolivia, Nicaragua. So there's a huge global reach. And 72% of the posts have been deemed positive. There's about 7% negative, which I'm not quite sure why or how that would be, but positive, meaning not neutral, but positive. And interestingly, 60% of the posts with the hashtag have come from women. So this is just an example. I would encourage you to continue using the hashtag and also linking people back to our Plan International website. So we've developed, how many of you have seen this website page? Raise your hand. All right, so a few people in the middle haven't seen this. So on the Plan International website, we have developed a conference hub page. So I've received many emails from your communications colleagues asking, how can I learn more? How can I watch the sessions and get information in real time? So please do direct them. The simple URL is plan/international.org/includeus2016. And essentially what it'll take you to is our conference page where it links to our YouTube page here. So you can watch the conference in real time. You can download our program summary, click to learn more about some of our partner pages and learn more about the work our partners are doing in the field, and then download our brochures and program summary. So this is a really great resource page. We're uploading it, adding more information. So if your colleagues want to learn more and they're not able to attend the conference, link them back to this homepage. And lastly, just to say, I've snuck onto Aiden's Twitter account. And I do think this is because it's related to Aiden's profile. But we are trending. We are number 2, a trending hashtag. So granted, I think it's in Aiden's realm of social media followers, so I won't say it's a global trending hashtag. But nonetheless, it's really great, actually. I think this is one of our strongest examples we've seen in working with all of you to take the conversations, the ideas, the insight from this room and make it available to people externally and online. So thank you very much for all your support, all your active engagement, and we have 1 day left. So I really, really encourage you to continue sharing content and information online because people are listening and people are sharing your thoughts and your views. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jessica. That's exciting to have such a reach of 699,000 people. Amazing. So keep tweeting. Many of you have seen there is a wall outside, a social media wall. So please use it over the next couple of hours during the breaks and tweet. Okay. Listen, so we have a next session. Catherine Fell from Plan Australia is going to lead us through this next session on education in emergencies. So over to you, Catherine.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone who is presenting, the wonderful presenters, please come on up on the stage? Tamina, that means you. This next session is on something really important, which is education in emergencies. It's something that some of us might not be familiar with. I'm not sure about the numbers who might have been in an emergency response. So this is the topic we'll be discussing for this session. I would like to acknowledge that we are currently having our conference at a country office who has been responding for an emergency for the last 18 months. In fact, it's one of the worst emergencies they've experienced in their history. And I actually think it's quite powerful that despite the absolute challenges of the earthquake in Nepal, that they're the ones hosting the Inclusive Education Conference. So I'd like to give them a round of applause. And that's what I've seen in Nepal, and that's what I've seen at the country office. That disability inclusion in emergency is not well understood for a lot of NGOs, and it's an area we're still learning about. But Plan Nepal, despite those challenges, have created new opportunities in inclusive education in the last 18 months. They have encapsulated the spirit of building back better, despite the complexities. They have forged new relationships. We're honoured to have the Dean of Kathmandu University here, who actually heads the Inclusive Education Research Centre. This has been one of the many new relationships to encourage inclusion in the last 18 months. We have NFDN, who are an amazing disability rights organisation. And we have Handicap International, who have been partnering with for a long time in Nepal. But again, this partnership has been strengthened in the last 18 months. So I think it's a statement to all of us that it's never too hard. It's never too hard to engage with disability inclusion, even during the hardest times for your country. So today, what we'll be doing is we have Bente, who's the Senior Education and Emergencies Advisor at Plan Norway. She'll be presenting and she'll be introducing us to the topic of education and emergencies and how it differs from normal education programming. Then what we'll be doing is we'll be actually engaging in small groups with some questions around education and emergencies, World Cafe style. Then we'll be having a presentation from Tamina, the Gender Advisor from Plan Bangladesh. She'll be talking about, with Raman, her partner organisation. She'll be talking about Safe Schools Initiative in southern Bangladesh and the kind of adaptations that are needed to be made to make sure schools are resilient. Then we will have Raj Kumar, who, despite his incredibly busy schedule right now about fast-tracking the end of the emergency response, has been able to join us. And he's been one of the leaders in emergency response in Nepal in the last 18 months. Then our final reflections will be from the Dean, who will be talking about new partnerships and new opportunities during this time. So I'd like you to give them a round of applause as they come on stage. And as they're getting up, I'd just like to say, for those of you who say, well, we don't work in an emergency setting. Emergency is more than just a response. It's also about preparation and building resilience in our programs, no matter what your program is. It can be as simple as having an evacuation plan in the schools where you work or having a climate change adaptation plan in your communities. So it's also about preparing and resilience. So yeah, whatever you feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, jag ska säga det. Jag måste säga det. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Bente Sandalåsen, and I'm a Norwegian. I'm from Norway. I actually took my watch off because, you know, when you have a football game, when the judge is what's overlooking the football game, when he's blowing his whistling, the time is getting off. So if I'm talking too much, I just do like this because that means I have been whistling. So I can have more. Did you understand what I meant? That's good. I can click myself, I think. But the main issue is that I heard from Silje, my colleague here, that the management team that has been putting up this conference, they are very strict. So you only have to use 5 to 10 minutes. So that's why I took off my watch and was thinking, I do as they do it in a football game. When they stop, the clock is also stopped. So then I can talk as much as I want. My background, I've been working in humanitarian responses since 96, I think. And I was part of developing the INE network. And how many of you know about INE? Oh, that's great. Fantastic. I hope by the end of the day that everyone has entered the INE webpage and signed up as a member. That should definitely be part of your daily preparation when you prepare for a development and emergency response. Anyway, so this is, how do I do this? Do I click on? This one? It's not working. Here we go. Is there? Okay. Yeah, I forgot to say, I was one of the two saying I was confused this morning. And the reason for being confused, I was not here the whole day yesterday because I got a really bad shoulder, a frozen shoulder. So I had to go to hospital and get some injections. So I feel a little bit tipsy because I'm full of some medication. So, education in emergency. The definition of education in emergency, that is physical protection, psychosocial and cognitive needs. And the cognitive needs, it has to be prepared so it can meet the age. You know, a child who is 4, 5, 6 years old react differently from a child that is, or a youth that is 14, 15 years old. And cognitive development, that is how we are in the day-to-day life. But when we have an emergency situation, we talk about cognitive reaction. So education in emergency is about preparing children to be ready to go back to the normal school, to try to give them some good activities that they can have a normal day. And we all know if something is happening, if we are sick or if we are not able to go to school or to work, we think about it all the time because we love the place we are and it keeps us occupied. We want to go back to school. We want to go back to work. So education in emergency is preparing children for the normal school. And it's a set of linked activities. And it could be psychosocial support. So it's important that teachers need how to prepare for education in emergency. They need to set up different programming. And that is important for our organizations. If we have of a job description for the development, for the normal work we do, is on one page. If we turn the page, it is what we're going to do. Subject knowledge. And then we have the sustainable development goal, especially number 4, that is connected to education. That's important to always focus on. And it should include everyone. And I would like to emphasize that when we say for all, what does that mean? If someone say it is for all, ask them, what do you mean? And I think very many will forget about disability. They will forget about gender and many, many other issues. So if they know, ask them, give me an example. Don't give up. Push people. Because education is a right and it's for all. And then we have the INE minimum standard. The Interagency Network for Education in Emergency. It was established in Dakar in 2000. It's 16 years ago. Today we have 12,000 members. And it's a free network. You can connect online. And we have a lot of material. And we have developed a minimum standard that is 5 domains that belongs to 19 standards. The minimum standard have a very close connection to disability. And I think it is one of the best documentation standards we have. The important thing about the minimum standard, it's that you have to contextualize them because they are global. They are up there, and they should be up there. But you should actually encourage your government, your organizations, if you have a working group in your country, encourage them to take them on and contextualize them and start using them. And then we will have a common understanding for what education in emergency is. And when I say education in emergency, the minimum standard can also be used in development. Because we don't work actually in a country that don't have issues. So you can connect all the standards to the daily work you do. Now I'm looking at my watch, yeah. And then we have, the INE have also developed a guide, a pocket guide on inclusive education. And it is very much connected to preparedness, response, and recovery. And preparedness should be connected to contingency planning. And to try to understand what is a preparedness plan and what is a contingency plan. Very many are confused on that. A preparedness plan is what your organization should be prepared to do. 2 more minutes? Okay, in my watch it's 10. Okay, then I have to rush a little bit here. But preparedness plan, that is what your organization should be prepared to do. A contingency plan is what the ministry should be prepared to regarding a response. If an earthquake, we can foresee maybe an earthquake will come in blah, blah, blah years. You should know the area and you should plan for how to move schools, hospitals, everything. So you can keep on the daily work and schooling. Recovery is important because of lesson learned, because you move on to the next development. And it's good to be prepared for next time. Then we have, let me see here. Then we have the education cluster. Education cluster is a coordinating mechanism. And why do we have them? Because we want to have all people, all organizations in one room being prepared to respond to an emergency situation. And we want to respond and develop a response plan together, built on our knowledge within the organization. And that is because it will be stupid if myself from Plan and will meet UNICEF and the doorstep to the same school with the same programming. So I think you should always be member of the cluster from day one, because then you will be part of coordination and you will be able to use the material developed by the network, INE network. Cluster have a very good information managed systems, information managed system, and also the information flow. We have strategies for the global, country, and the field level. It's top down, bottom up. And then, of course, we have. I have to read. I got a little bit confused when they started telling me you have two more minutes. You know, it's one thing when it comes to inclusion that's very, very important. Very often, it do not start from feelings or guilt. It starts from, and don't start saying, I'm sorry you are not included. We should always start asking, who are excluded? Where are they? Where can we find them? Because we all have the right to education. Assessment, joint assessment, very important. Very important to have a cross-sectoral joint assessment, together with, for example, protection cluster, with shelter, so we can have a holistic education emergency response. If you have, I'm sorry, I got a little bit confused there. If you have short time to prepare for a response, when you prepare beforehand, have a checklist, what you need to do, what you should do, and be aware of that. And you need to look at curriculum, check if there are IDPs, or if there are refugees, because when it comes to education, and if the response should be developed for refugees, it's not UNICEF that is high up there responsible. It is UNHCR, because UNHCR are responsible for those who are crossing a border. If it's IDPs, it's UNICEF, because it's in the country. And also, always remember special needs. school construction, accessibility, teacher training, extracurricular, PSS, psychosocial support. Teachers see the children on a daily basis. We don't need to send all the children for counseling if they have been through a traumatic event. We can have the teacher that can look at the students, can listen to the students, and can have a system they can link them to in the community. And don't forget parents and school management team. They should also be part of preparing an emergency response. We have developed a teaching training package for crisis, complex crisis. And it has 5 components. It's about the teacher's role. It's about child protection and well-being. It's pedagogy, classroom management, curriculum, and planning. It's all free on the INEE webpage. You can download it, you can be prepared, and you can use it whenever you want. The teacher's role package, there's one thing I would like to emphasize, and that is about teachers' code of conduct. Make sure your government have a good teacher code of conduct. If not, you will not have a good environment in the classroom. When it comes to classroom management, it's 5 important issues to bring up. It's positive discipline, it's positive reinforcement, it is good routines, clear expectations, and engagement. When it comes to curriculum and planning, teachers' plan should always be in line with the curriculum for the particular country you are in. And teaching and learning for all, it is about I do, we do, and you do. That is what teaching and learning is. I'm the teacher. Together we are teachers and students. And the students have to show what they know and what they have learned. It is as simple as that. So if you can prepare your lesson, I do, we do, you do, you will reach a goal. This is the star, and the 5 points I mentioned regarding classroom management. And then you have corporal punishment. That's a big issue in the schools all over the world. That should be emphasized much more than it is today. And we should talk about it among school management, in the community, in Ministry of Education, with the minister himself, among teachers, among parents and students. And it's one thing, I always ask the teachers when I have trainings, do you like all the students you have in front of you? Do you know what the answer is? It's yes. When I say, as a teacher, I don't like all of them, because we don't like all the people around us. They said, same, I don't like them either. And then I ask them, are you a mother or a father? Or do you have a child that you really care for? Everyone has that. And then I say, think that you sit at home having breakfast with your own little daughter or your boy or the child you really care for. And do you want to send that child to a teacher that don't like your child? No. So how can we prepare the education so everyone can be included? And then how do we move? And that is actually, I hope I can one day say that we have moved from saying disability to inclusion, from disability inclusion to diversity. Because it is diversity we want in the future. Then we include everyone. Diversity in preparedness, response, recovery, and development. That is about going beyond focusing on only gender or only disability. We should focus on everyone, and everyone has the same right. So my last picture. Lack of education brought us into these crises, and only education can take us out of it. Thank you.
I'll just get up here and speak. It's easier. Okay, so next step is we're going to do World Cafe. So I'm sure lots of you have done it before, but I'm going to go through it just so everyone is on the same page. So World Cafe. It's basically a way of promoting discussion in small groups. The clicker is not working. No? So it's a way for you to be able to, because we're such a large group, it's hard for everyone to be heard. So it's a way for you to contribute your thinking and your reflections in these small groups. What we'll have is we'll have 3 main questions and 1 host per table across 9 tables. Does that make sense? So some of the tables will have the same question. Again, we'll have it 3 times. Is that making sense? Beautiful. And what we'll do is we give you 10 minutes per question. You go and choose a table with a facilitator, and it's 10 minutes. And then we'll ring a bell, and then you leave that table and you go to the next for 10 minutes. We ring a bell again, and you go and find a different question. So you'll have a chance to discuss 3 different questions. Okay? So the questions are, what do you mean by education for all? Tell us about a teacher that inspired you most in your life. Why do we have to establish cluster systems in emergency? And why is it important for sectorial, education in emergency cluster, protection in emergency cluster? Okay, so let's get to it. We've got facilitators. Our lovely presenters are also going to be facilitators for us. Suresh from ANO is going to be one of our facilitators. So facilitators, put just one question, please. Hi, everybody. If you're facilitating, could you pop your hand up so everyone could find you? So facilitators, grab a printed out question, right up so people can see you. So Celia's over there, facilitator over here. Suresh, can you put your hand up? You're also a facilitator. Can you? There should be 9.